Today we're going to talk about books, which is why I have my home librarian shirt on. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Aileen and this is Life as Aileen. I share about homeschool, food and cooking, a little bit of travel, kind of whatever I feel like. But today we're going to talk about books, which is why I have my home librarian shirt on. So for the month of January, I am including this book selection in our studies. It's 18 books for January, and they are all around Australia. This is going to cover our geography, art history, and science. Most of the books that I'm using are from our public library, although some of the reference books are from my home library. We are going to go through a few of the reference books for geography, and all of these books will also be paired with videos because one of my kiddos learns really well that way. With watching a video, it's really engaging for him, so I tend to do both. But I love my books, so let's get into it. Oh, was this big heavy stack? I would say this is like the geography section, I guess. We have Where is the Great Barrier Reef? I love these What Is books. My oldest also really enjoys having them read to him. He could absolutely read them on his own, but he enjoys me reading them to him. So I'll go ahead and read that to them. So this is kind of about the barrier reef, coral reefs, which is going to be our science, but also specifically to Australia. Next, this one is a library book, Countries of the World. Atlas of Adventures, Wonders of the World. This book is cool because it kind of is like storytelling in the sense that it's like you're gonna go on an adventure across the world, and then each set of couple of pages is about a different country in the world, but then they talk about a specific wonder in the world, and some of them are man-made wonders and some of them are natural wonders. So this one's pretty neat. I may end up buying this one because I really like it. Last one is the Maps book. We did Around the World with Picture books from Beautiful Feet Books a few years ago, our first year homeschooling, and got this book, and I've saved it because it's a really great book. And now we're kind of going back to study the countries again. Not really following that study at this point. This is going to be our first month of going back to studying countries, so I may change my mind in the future, but for now I'm just kind of winging it. Learn about Aboriginal art, so we'll probably just glance through this at some point. I'll make a plan around this. Maybe we'll try and recreate some similar artwork and find a video to go through it, and just invite the kids to thumb through this at some point when we decide, whatever day we decide to do that. And it is has a lot of different types of art. It's not just like the dot art that I feel like I see really commonly. There it is. Here's Uluru, which is also covered in that Wonders of the World book. Art on the ground. So lots of different art forms, which I think is cool. And I like it that it's about the Aboriginals. So we can touch on that as well. Okay, next up, I mentioned our science. Now, our science is going to be actually covering two different things. We're going to cover a biome, which is coral reefs, and then we're also going to dig into animals. So we're going to dig into like some Australia-specific animals because my kids love studying animals. So, of course, I had to add that in. We already read this one this week, and it was amazing. And if you can get your hands on it to read it with your kiddos, even if you're not studying coral reefs, it was extremely engaging. All of my kids were asking questions, pointing out things. My 3-year-old was pointing things out. My son was sharing his knowledge. It was just a very, very engaging book. I'm not surprised because Gail Gibbons is an amazing author. Next up is The Brilliant Deep. Here is The Coral Reef. And then the last one is Ocean. My 7-year-old specifically is very excited about this book. It's a library book. It must be, a lot of children must love it because it's like dying. But we've looked at this book every single night, and there's only like a small portion that we're going to look at specifically for coral reefs, but she's loving just looking at all of that and trying to find the sharks and all that. So really cool. Next up, I have 2 stacks of animal books because I told you my kids love learning about animals. So we have a lot. I don't know that we'll get to all of these. I'm going to put them on our little ledge shelf. If you've seen some of my other videos with that in the background, that's my preferred background, but it's like in the middle of the house and my kids running back and forth. It's really hard to shoot videos. So I'm in my bedroom. But I have like these 2 little ledge shelves. So I kind of put books up on display for the month. So those will be up there, and I'm going to let them pick and choose which ones they want me to read and kind of have a say in it. Maybe we'll get to all of them. Maybe we won't. We'll play it by ear. This has got my reference books in here as well. So, and we actually have probably 6 animal reference books, but these are the ones I'm going to pull from, I think, for this month. Possum Magic, Blue Kangaroo, Katie No Pocket, and then we have this, an anthology of intriguing animals, which I got from Costco, and it has big, beautiful pictures. I love that it's like gold lined. It just makes it seem so fancy. It's got the little bookmark tag in there. So it's got all kinds of animals. I'm sure we'll find an Australian animal in there. I haven't even checked yet. I just know I want to include this one because it's my favorite. And last is Animal Sidekicks. This talks about symbiosis, and we're specifically going to cover the clownfish and the anemone, which my kids, of course, already know about thanks to Finding Nemo, but they'll be excited to see that that's something that's part of the coral reef, which in the Gail Gibbons book, we already did find the sea anemone and the clownfish. My son pointed it out. So we'll read more about that. That's it, my big stack of books for January. Since I'm talking about January books, I thought I would share what I'm reading also. So on audiobook, which is my preferred format, I am listening to Shift, which is the second book in a series. The first one was called Silo, which I really enjoyed. Shift is not as good, but it is turned into a show, I think, on HBO. So I'm kind of wanting to listen to all of them so I can watch the show because I love that. And then I'm in a book club, a historical fiction book club, and that book that we're reading this month is On the Corner of Bitter and Sweet, which I have not started yet, but we're taking a trip to Disneyland in January, so I plan to read when I'm not driving and hopefully finish it before book club. So that is what I'm reading for my own personal reading. My kids also read on their own. They do independent reading, but these are our like picture books and reference books that we're hitting on. As far as our reading plan that I talked about in another video for this school year, we're currently reading Finding Langston, which is so sad. Like, yeah, we're going to stick with it, but it's really sad. So just if you have sensitive kiddos, it's not like suddenly sad. It's he loses his mother and like he's already lost his mother when the story starts, but like he's experiencing a lot of grief, and we're listening to the audiobook, and it's, my son doesn't really like stories where the mom dies. So that's been interesting, but we're sticking with it. So we're listening to Finding Langston. We're also doing What's the Big Idea, Ben Franklin, which we have not read yet. But I may incorporate that into our Disneyland car ride trip also, because it's only like a 1 hour long audiobook. So those are the ones we're on. We did finish Echo Mountain in December, and it was amazing. And I wish it wasn't over. So thank you if you're still here with me. Thank you so much for watching. I would love it if you could give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions or comments about the books or want to share what you're reading in January, I'd love to hear it. Give me a comment below. I'll see you next time. Bye.